Our theme this month is Awake in Today's World. And today's topic is parenting in harmony with spirit. It's been said that the first thing a man does when he becomes a father is to change his mind about what he used to think he would do when he became a father. The author of that quote is unknown, and I suspect that's because he didn't want his wife and or his children to know that he'd changed his mind about anything. So today, as we all know, is Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. So as I begin this talk, I'd like to take a few moments to expand on how this holiday came about. Because being awake in today's world includes changing our thinking, changing our ideas about things. And that's how Father's Day came into being. Like Dr. Holmes once said, the idea is father to the fact. Father's Day was an idea that came about through the efforts of a woman named Sonora Smart Dowd, who lived in Spokane, Washington. As she listened to a tribute to mothers that delivered during a sermon on Mother's Day in 1909, she decided that fathers should have a special tribute too. She was raised by her father after her mother passed away, and she wanted her dad to know how special he was to her. And since his birthday was in June, that was the time that she proposed for a Father's Day celebration. But it wasn't proclaimed a holiday in the United States until the Congress in 1956. And in 1972, President Nixon selected the third Sunday in June for the official date of Father's Day. It also seems to be a holiday which is uniquely American. Roses now are the official flower of Father's Day, a red one in honor of a father who is living, and a white one for a father who has passed on. So here are some of the ways that horizons have been expanded for fathers. Fathers didn't nearly have it as good in 1904, for example, as the fathers of today, but they did have a few advantages. In 1904, fathers prayed that their children would learn English because so many of them were immigrants. Today, fathers pray that their children will speak English or something they can understand. In 1904, a father's horsepower meant his horses. Today's world, it's the size of his SUV or his ramped-up pickup truck and how much horsepower it has. In 1904, a father put a roof over his family's head, and that was considered to be successful on his part. In today's world, it takes a roof, takes a lanai, takes a pool, takes multiple bathrooms, and a 4-car garage. In 1904, a father waited for the doctor to tell him that the baby had arrived. Today, he must wear a smock and a hat, know how to breathe, and make sure that the film in the video camera is ready to go as he waits in the birthing room. In 1904, fathers could count on children to join the family business. Today, fathers pray that their sons or daughters will come home soon from college and teach him the computer functions that he needs to know, to move the TV settings between the DVR, the Apple TV, the Netflix, and move it back from wherever they set it before they left the last time to go to college. Now, that may not be funny to you, but that's funny to me because every time I make a change or somebody makes a change, then I have to go back to the copious notes in order to figure out how to get back to my TV so I can watch the baseball games. In 1904, fathers smoked pipes. If he tries that today, he gets such a lecture. And then he gets sent outside if he's going to smoke that day. In 1904, a father came home from work to find his wife and his children at the dinner table. Today, a father comes home to a note on the table that says, Jimmy's at baseball, Cindy's at gymnastics, I'm at adult ed, and the pizza's in the refrigerator. In 1904, when a father got breakfast in bed, it was ham and eggs with biscuits and fried potatoes. Today, it's granola, soy milk, dry toast, and a lecture on cholesterol. So today, as children of all ages remember their dads with fondness, perhaps with humor, maybe with some poignancy, and almost always the memory of how, in some way, Dad encouraged us to do better, be better, expand on who and what we are. I once heard it said that only that world can appear to us which we can mentally perceive. This month, as we explore this series, Awake in Today's World, we're looking at ways in which we can bring our own lives, bring into our own lives the love, the happiness, the satisfaction, and the prosperity that are our birthright. They're our divine inheritance in a world that has little similarity to the world that our fathers grew up in. As adults, we are always looking to find ways or bridges from our false beliefs to the truth. Expanding our horizons always occurs when we decide to change that which is making us ill, making us poor, making us feel unloved, or making us unsatisfied. Now, the word making there is not an external. It's we are making ourselves those things until we decide to change that. So, a major challenge for us as adults, whether we are parents or not, is looking for ways to be in harmony with Spirit by being awake in today's world. And by asking ourselves, where is my horizon? For when we know that our experience is the logical outcome of our inner vision, then we realize that our horizon is limited only by the confines of our own consciousness. It's really important to know. It's really important to know where you've set your horizons and whether or not that's pleasing to you. Because guess what? We don't live by proxy. We each get to do this on our own. You see, there is an insistent urge within us to be more, to do more, to have more. The doing depends on our style. The having, or having more, depends on our taste. But the urge to be more is insistent in every one of us. When we resist this urge, we allow ourselves to stay stuck in jobs or perhaps relationships that don't serve us, that don't nourish our souls. Resisting this urge is what causes some people to pop another Valium or drink another six-pack. Resisting this urge is what leads some into living what Marilyn Ferguson described in her book, The Aquarian Conspiracy, as what she called a second-hand life. People living second-hand lives, she points out, are perhaps watching 16 straight hours of no-brainer TV, reading magazines or books with no value messages, just escapes. People living second-hand lives go to movies that are shocking and sometimes disgusting, allowing themselves to be transported visually and with sound to places they would not otherwise choose to be. That exempts everybody from this room, I know that. But there are still people out there that are doing this because they don't understand the urge to be more is insistent within them until that begins to provide positive results in their lives. When I was at the Big Sky, Montana retreat a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to meet with Reverend Marilyn Leo, who was putting together a book of some of Ernest Holmes' writings that had not yet been categorized. And so we reviewed some of that information together. And Reverend Leo was the daughter of one of Ernest Holmes' closest associates, Reginald Armour. Perhaps some of you have read some of Reginald Armour's books. So one of the chapters in that book that Marilyn was working on at the time reminds us how important it is to remember this. This is a quote from Dr. Holmes. What you are today is what you put into your consciousness yesterday. What you put into your consciousness today is what you become tomorrow. So take into your consciousness the broadest concept. Visualize a greater possibility. Remember that clause in your treatment work, this or something better. When you do the acceptance stage of your spiritual mind treatment, this or something better opens up unlimited potential to the universe to bring you some ideas that you haven't already had. So visualize a greater possibility. Wherever your horizon is set now, expand it. And expand it to serve your highest and best good. Live your life firsthand. Use everything you take in, sights, sounds, relationships, experiences, to be the stream of consciousness that best represents who you choose to be. And teach these values to your children, if you have them, as well as to other family members who are looking to raise their consciousness and to be awake in today's world. So I believe the message here for us is that we can know the truth. The truth is the knowledge of goodness, peace, joy, love, harmony, empathy, and the myriad of other qualities that we attribute to our Creator. As we get this message, we experience all kinds of breakthroughs. From the innermost parts of our being, we realize the true reality. We are lifted into the realization of our divine nature, our relationship with our Creator, which is always a one-on-one, one-on-one, one with one. It's been said that we are fragments of something whose size and shape we don't know. But as fragments of it, we are essential to its wholeness. This is our assignment, our opportunity, our call to be the light. I believe that something is the essence, the energy, the wholeness of universal spirit. And we, you, and I, are an essential part that makes up the whole. To know this, to accept this, to allow this to be in your life is the breakthrough to the truth of your own being. So don't get caught short. Prepare for what's coming next in your life. Be ready to change. Albert Einstein said, I love this quote, the significant problems we face cannot be solved at the level of thinking that created them. And I say, change more than your socks and your undergarments each day. Look at the thoughts that have brought situations into your life that you can decide to change, and to realize that changing those thoughts is what starts the process. Knowing that changing your thoughts allows you to shift internally, and shifting internally is what changes those situations. I heard a great comparison to this process in a discussion about time-lapse photography. Time-lapse photography allows us to see the unfolding of flowers, embryos, even galaxies in today's world. If we were able to view ourselves, our sense of self, that is, in a similar way, we would be able to see the deconstruction and reconstruction of ourself in an ever-moving, sequential, and beautiful pattern of unfolding. Because it's happening to each of us right here, right now, even as we are in this conversation. So we can be creative rather than mundane. We can think rather than vegetate. We can be the solution, not the problem. Our fortune is not in our job or where we live. It's not in our history or anymore in our genes. It's in our own heart. It's in our own mind. It's in our own willingness to step out and try something new. Expand our own horizons. If nothing else, it's a good practice in developing eternal process, everlasting expansion, a reconciliation between this life, what's called the grave, and everlasting existence. It's expanding our harmony with Spirit. Now, most people have been conditioned to accept that they are ordinary, normal, or unexceptional. Others have even been convinced that they are lacking, unable, or limited. If any of those words are in your dictionary or your vocabulary, now is the time to look at that and decide whether that's where you want to stay or whether you would rather declare your own greatness. You're great either way. I want you to know that. The difference is whether you recognize it or not. And as long as you're happy, comfortable, feel secure, and life feels good, it's a good place to be, isn't it? But if you, like me, sometimes feel that pull, that desire. I talked about that future pull last week. Those of you who were here will remember that. That temptation to be something more, be something different. You are suffering from what is commonly referred to as divine discontent. Divine discontent is another way of saying, expand your horizons. Get moving. Try something different. Patanjali, the great Indian saint and poet in the 3rd century BCE, said, when you are inspired by great purpose, some extraordinary project, all your thoughts break their bonds. Your mind transcends limitation, and your consciousness expands in every direction. Dormant forces, faculties, and talents come alive, and you discover yourself to be a greater person than you ever dreamed yourself to be. When we talk about calling this teaching New Thought, this is a perfect example of ancient wisdom in today's world. When we expand our horizons, dormant factions, faculties, and talents come alive. We must remember that a horizon is simply the edge of what we can currently see. It's not the end of anything. We can't always see the other side of a bridge either, can we? Yet we know that bridge touches something solid on the other side, so we proceed confidently and steadily across it. You can do the same thing as you expand your horizons. Move confidently and steadily toward the horizon, the edge of what you can currently see. Take into your consciousness the broadest concept. Visualize a greater possibility for yourself. And wherever your horizon is set now, expand it. And expand it to serve your highest and best good. And so it is.